and welcome back to the FuturePrint virtual conference. I'm Karis Kopp. I'm delighted to be joined by Phil McMullin, Sales Manager Pro Graphics at Epson UK, and by Guy Martin, Sales Development Specialist for Commercial Industrial at Epson UK. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Our pleasure, Karis. Good to see you again.
Indeed. Thank you for hosting this.
Of course. And it's going to be a great session. We're going to be talking about textile print. So let's kind of jump straight into it and start with the fact that textiles and fast fashion in particular generates a significant amount of press and some of it around the environmental impact. And firstly, what's Epson's view on whether there is a viable future for profit with printing textiles? Guy?
Certainly. So the simple answer is absolutely, as far as digital is concerned. The CAGR for till 2027 is a growth rate of 16.3%. So the numbers speak volumes as far as that's concerned. Plus also the way textiles are being printed and where they're being printed, this is creating a huge opportunity for digital print. The demands of brands, or end users, customers themselves, lends themselves to potentially shorter runs, sampling, which again lends itself to digital, plus the changes in trends and fashions, with the emphasis on the environmental impact, and indeed designers designing with different fabrics. We all know the polyesters, the cottons, the silks, but now we're seeing more designers, more brands wanting to work with lyocell, tencel, and indeed bamboo, all sustainable, environmentally preferred products. So it's absolutely a good time for digital and a good time for the textile industry.
Fantastic. And yeah, that's something that we will kind of go on and discuss a little bit later. But first of all, we can't get away from talking about the pandemic. We're still very much in the thick of it. And, the pandemic, as we know, has had a habit of accelerating existing trends, and the textile industry was already experiencing a period of change, a great deal of change before COVID hit. Has the pandemic had a particular kind of influence in any way on this industry?
Yes, Karis, it has, and we are right in the thick of it still, as you say. But the trends that we saw coming to the fore before COVID were very much customization and personalization, and that's not just in the textile environment. That's across the board for printing in general. And I noticed the schedule of your speakers is very digital focused, as you would expect in the 21st century, and that's because of that customization and personalization trend, that growth of people wanting unique products. So what we've seen during the period of the pandemic, which in the UK has been accelerated by Brexit as well. I appreciate your audience isn't exclusively UK, but Guy and I are based in the UK, and we see this firsthand, is that supply chain management has become a big issue as well. So if you take that as a trend that has really gained headway during COVID and Brexit, that's probably the biggest change that we've seen on top of this acceleration of customization and personalization. And the reason that these trends have developed, apart from the desire of the end customer to have something more individual, is that manufacturers, brands, all want to better control their ability to get to market in a profitable way. So by bringing the production closer, bringing the proximity to the customer closer in terms of production, enables them to reduce their reliance on people in the Far East, for instance, which has been the traditional source of a lot of production in the Far East and the Middle East. We've got container issues that everybody's experiencing. Containers are all in the wrong place. They're all in the UK and Europe. They're not back in the Far East. You can't get a container. If you get a container, it costs you 10 times as much as normal. So it then starts to change that balance, that equation in terms of, well, is it actually cheaper to produce it in China now? If you do the maths in terms of the logistical cost, it's for many people it's not. So that's accelerating what the industry calls the reshoring. 100 years ago it was all in Macclesfield. It all then was exported to the Middle East and the Far East and other countries away from the UK, sadly. But we're now reshoring that back in. So we definitely see that trend accelerating. That's great for putting my UK centric hat on. That's great for UK industry and great for UK manufacturing. It is definitely a good news story from that point of view. And you put that customization and personalization on top of it, which has gone up dramatically, then you can see that changing. To give you the Epson perspective on it, our sales in 2020 on our textile range were double what they were in 2019. And that's all driven by customization, personalization, and this reshoring of the business.
Yeah, just to add one thing into that, also print on demand and sampling. A lot of these end users, the fashion houses, the designers, want to see samples, want to see strike-offs, then that can go into production, and it's literally print on order, not necessarily print and stick it in a warehouse. So bringing it local adds that supply chain. It shortens it dramatically, and it's reliable.
Great. So what I'm hearing is, there's out of these difficult situations, there are opportunities out there. Who are the businesses? Who is it that's best placed to kind of take advantage of these opportunities, and who can profit from these trends?
Yeah, another good question, Karis. And primarily, traditional textile printers are in a key place for digital print, primarily because they have a range of fabrics that they print with, and certain inks on certain fabrics require some heavy-duty, high-cost finishing equipment, such as steamers, washers, etc. However, with the surge of interest in pigment requiring less finishing process, this also has a benefit to the environmental impact as well. This puts direct-to-textile print in the hands of a print service provider. Now, don't forget, print service providers are used to digitally printing on a substrate. And that, once you're used to that, then printing with profiles onto a substrate, if it doesn't require intricate high-cost finishing, then this is another business opportunity for a print service provider. And textile is a market where the progress of digital is now making it easier for print service providers to print. Plus, as a print service provider, if you can provide ability to react quickly, react to trends, be it fashion, decor, wall coverings, or general branding required by your customers, you might already be providing other forms of print, and textile print would be in addition to that. Again, I mentioned service levels. This is all to do with lean manufacturing, which goes hand in hand with digital. Whilst complying with the industry standards, you have the insurance of a global manufacturer behind you, plus a clear sustainability message and a clear vision of where that's going looking forward. Plus, these days, the digital equipment is very scalable. So in other words, you can dip your toe in a market with a machine. As that market grows, as your business grows, you can add more machines, more machines, more machines. So inevitably, we end up seeing what we call farms of machines. So multiple machines reacting to the print service provider's customers. So it's a relatively low risk, very beneficial way of increasing your business. So it's open to most print service providers.
Yeah, and I think just about what Guy said, then the advantage that a commercial printer, for instance, has is they're used to handling digital files, they're used to color management, and used to digital output devices generally for other work. So textile in its simplest form is just another color output device. It just happens to be in textile. So I'm wearing an Epson dye sublimated polo shirt. It's one of Guy's favourites. But that's incredibly easy to produce with a small dye sub printer and a heat press, and that's all you need, and you're in the textile business in its simplest form.
Yeah, I'd like to apologise for his shirt now. Phil's never been backward in coming forward with his Larry shirts, so forgive him for that.
I think it looks great. So before, I'd like to talk a little bit, about Epson specifically, but before that, just looking at the kind of the digital textile market as it stands, how much of that is currently digital in terms of textile?
Well, it depends whose numbers you want to believe, Karis, because there's lots of different numbers, statistics and damn lies, as they always say. But there's something like 35 billion square meters of textile printed in the world every year. So that's a huge number. You can't even contemplate that, obviously. And if we look at the amount of that 35 billion square meters that is printed using a digital process, it's incredibly small. Numbers vary, 6, 7, 8%. We probably think around 6% is our educated guess on the Epson side of things. So the opportunity to grow your business, if you're investing in digital textile equipment and you want to tackle that market, the opportunity is pretty much endless. A huge amount of that obviously at the moment is produced in the Middle East and the Far East, but as we've already talked about, it's reshoring, it's coming back to the UK for all of those logistical reasons, the short run print on demand that Guy was talking about earlier. So if you've got something like 94% of the market to go for once you've installed your digital press, it really then is the world is your oyster. Having said that, there are some differences in digital penetration within that market. So if you look at an area like the Lake Como region in northern Italy, which is the home of the Robustellian Vortex operation that is now part of the Epson portfolio, we purchased in totality the business 2 or 3 years ago. But they have been for decades leaders in digital print in textile, and around the Lake Como area, which was chosen. It's a beautiful area. Why wouldn't you live there? But it was chosen specifically because of the water, which was great for printing onto silk. They found that was perfect. When you washed the production afterwards, the water was perfect to get the finest results. So the digital penetration around Lake Como is about 85%. It is absolutely massive, and that's because of the technology and the chemistry around that area is literally leading the world and is now incorporated in the Epson offering. But that's a unique situation, and as Guy said, the growth potentially compound annual growth of 16.3% that is being predicted up until 2027. That's a huge growth opportunity, and I'd challenge anybody to highlight a market in print that is going to grow at that sort of level. It really is exceptional. And unlike a lot of areas of print where we've seen the pandemic negatively impact demand, the reverse has happened in textile. So I would actually say that number, because that number's from put together in 2018, 2019. If you looked at it from 2020 perspective, it might even be higher if you ran those numbers again. So yeah, the nerve center of digital production in Como is very high, but the rest of the world and the UK is there to be taken really, and the opportunity is absolutely huge.
Yeah, and so I guess that's from an Epson perspective, you spent the last few years building that textile portfolio.
Yeah.
So you're obviously invested in the future of digital textile, and there's that battle between increased demand and fighting to meet shorter deadlines, and while also there's that kind of focus on reducing environmental impact. Maybe we could talk a little bit about your digital textile print solutions and the way they deal with those issues.
Well, before we go forward on this, I'm just going to go back a bit as far as the digital research and development of digital goes. And you can go back to proofing when traditional commercial print proofing was chromalin. Then along came the Epson Stylus Pro 3000 with a fiery rip, which was a piece of hardware that looked a bit like a breeze block. The beauty of that was that fiery rip was able to control the color on that printer. And very soon, within the next couple of years, that became the default standard for proofing. If you look into, then we went through the photo market, the fine art market. Now, these are very particular markets with very subjective measurement of that until it became accepted. So again, Epson was at the forefront of the development of the inkjet photo market. And in the background, companies in southern Italy and Turkey especially, they were adapting these products that weren't designed for it, but they were adapting this for dye sublimation. And they would have a farm of our normal printers, but they would be adapted to dye sublimation. Mm. So Seiko Epson Corporation were very aware of this and had it on the radar. But because these machines were adapted, these printers, the service providers, had no guarantee, warranty, or confidence. And Epson, being one of the few, if not the only manufacturer that produces our own print heads, our own ink, and our own hardware, that combined with a product for a purpose gives a printer a lot of confidence in going forward in that product and some assurances. Then if you look into signage, for instance, signage now is off the scale as far as quality is concerned. I mean, highly photographic images being produced with either an eco-solvent or a water-based resin solution really has put the control in the hands of the print service providers. Again, with the assurances and the warranties from the manufacturer, because we control the whole solution. Plus, if you now look into corporate or what was the CAD market, the CAD market has now become very highly photorealistic with the development of these CAD packages. We have a range there specifically for that. Very highly capable four-color printers that produce plans and drafts and rendered drawings. As far as industrial is concerned, Epson, we came into the label market, the industrial label print market 7 or 8 years ago. And again, now we have proper industrial printing machines, digital machines that print on conventional label stocks for the label industry. No flexo plates, no plates. Again, a benefit to the environment, purely printed digitally on their own stocks. Again, very highly capable, high quality ink, head and machinery combinations. And then as far as direct to textile goes, well, Phil mentioned Robustelli and Vortex. And the Seiko Epson Corporation has been working very closely with both companies for the last 15, 16 years now. And so has really partnered with them to give them the print heads, the image processing that is required by the biggest brands in the world. Karis, you'd love it. The brands that are produced using these machines, they are the finest, the best, with the highest standards and the biggest demands that have been met, as Phil mentioned, to an 85% digital output in Como. But at a relatively low cost compared to conventional equipment, digital is now providing these high quality outputs with a solution. to fit their needs and, most importantly, the brand's needs. So Epson's brought a lot to the digital market, and I'm very proud to have been part of that journey.
Fantastic. So let's talk a bit about what Epson has brought to market in terms of digital textile. Who wants to step in and talk us through it?
Well, where do you start? I mean, what do you want to do as far as digital textile? I mean, we've recently launched, it's only a small desktop, but it's dye sublimation. Now, whether you're using it for mugs or promotional items or sampling, there is a digital textile. So for £400, you can be dye sublimating. Yes, you need a small heat press, but you can start at £400. As far as if you want to upscale, then we have dye sublimation solutions at 24-inch, 44-inch, or you can indeed go up to the high productivity industrial machinery. And we have the Anthony Joshua of dye sublimation printers in the F10000. The F10000 is purpose-built for high productivity, again, with the security and confidence of the heads, the ink, the hardware. And moving on to direct-to-textile, again, I talked about the heritage of Robustelli and Vortex, all now one company, all now Epson, and trying to convert that essence and the culture of that fantastic Italian print. We've had the Mona Lisa range for a considerable time now, for many years, 7 to maybe 10 years. The Mona Lisa range has been there. And with the Seiko Epson Corporation, again, the development in heads and development in inks, we now have the Mona Lisa Evo Tray range. But very excitingly, we've just launched an entry-level industrial model, if you follow me, which is the ML8000. This, again, this is typical of Epson. They've watched the market. They've watched what customer need, what printers need, and they've watched and learned all over the world, not just locally. They've seen it everywhere, and they research, and then they come up with a product that ticks all the boxes for a conventional or traditional printer or a new digital printer who wants the all singing, all dancing, maximum uptime, reliability, and low energy. I mean, Epson specializes in producing low energy using products. So, you know, the party continues, and Epson's leading the way.
Just think, Guy summarised that really well, Karis, but the whole strategy that drives the product lineup that you've heard there, which has expanded from the really low end £400 all the way up to the full industrial production, is the huge investment of $1.2 million per day. It's an incredible number, $1.2 million per day in R&D that goes on in Japan, which is focused on print heads, on ink chemistry, and we're starting to really see the fruits of that investment, fruits of that labour coming into the portfolio, and customers, print service providers being able to pick up on that and really leverage that in their businesses to create profitable opportunities. So that's what we're all here for. That's what the topic, the header of this topic was. Easy profit in digital textile printing. So it's that 1.2 million per day upfront that drives that opportunity.
And we haven't even started talking about direct to garment yet.
No, that's another topic altogether.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, certainly, in terms of textile processes, and it's really great to hear that, particularly in a time, pandemic times, where print service providers might have had their kind of main business dwindle, or they'll be watching their finances closer, that there's these entry level options into a market that is doing well in the current times. So that's really great to see that Epson is providing that for people.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of move on to a topic that we have already touched on that is really, really pertinent to textiles. It's very much, in the media, in the spotlight in terms of fast fashion and the environmental impact. So maybe we'll just ask about how sustainable digital textile print is.
Well, again, another great question. We get asked this all the time, Karis, and I suppose you can. It depends how you want to define sustainability. If you're asking it as a print service provider who's looking to invest, is it sustainable in terms of revenue and profit generation? Then absolutely. We've already seen the numbers. We've heard the numbers, and that market's going to grow. So as a PSP investing, it's sustainable from a business point of view. But the more traditional way of asking that question that we're now familiar with, the CSR initiatives that all big companies are focused on, is it sustainable? And there's a lot of work still to be done, but the improvements that digital technology can deliver to that industry are staggering. And we've talked already about reduced logistics, so bringing down the carbon footprint of every garment that you wear. The only way to get truly sustainable in the industry is we all give up wearing clothes, which is not particularly appropriate for most people and probably not practical. And clearly, from a business point of view, we don't want to go down that route. But so it's about reducing your carbon footprint to make it less of an impact. And clearly, shipping finished product across the globe to sell doesn't make a lot of sense from a sustainability. So, we said earlier on about proximity to the customer, print the garment and produce it, finish it as close to the point of sale as you can possibly do it. Then your carbon footprint is reduced. If you add into that regarding sustainability,
the Epson was accredited with the EcoVadis Platinum Award for sustainability, and being a global manufacturer, we have to comply with the very latest certifications, whether it's GOTS, whether it's Blue Design, or whether it's Ecotex. That for us is sustainability, providing those answers and certifications for printers to be able to be sustainable in their own business, but as the industry as a whole.
No, absolutely right. And if businesses are interested in the Epson position per se, because obviously we're a global manufacturer and our impact on the environment is critical as well. We're working with the UN Sustainability Development Goals as part of our strategy to reduce our own carbon footprint and take ownership of the situation in society where businesses need to contribute to the well-being of their employees, but also their customers as well. So that's a big part of that. And we're very short of time here. We're going to run out in a minute. But if anybody listening is interested in learning more about that, you can download our Epson Green Choice report from our website. Just go to epson.co.uk and you can download the report, and gives you full details about the Epson strategy. But if we're focusing just on the textile industry, your question was about the fashion industry and how can we make that more environmentally friendly, more sustainable. Definitely digital production is at the heart of that. It's about using less resources. It's about print on demand, as Guy said earlier on, and it's about delivering the finished product closer to the point of sale so that you're reducing your carbon footprint. Yeah. And you're doing all of that without reducing the choice. In fact, you're enhancing the choice of the customer, because digital enables you to customize and personalize that we mentioned that early on. So actually the story is great right across the board. There really aren't any negatives to the story. It's improving everybody's position, whether it's profitability for the print service providers or whether it's the impact we're all having on the environment. It's all going in the right direction.
Yeah, I heard a line the other day and it says, print what you've sold, don't print what you've got to sell. And that kind of sums up the...
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. And it does sound like, that sustainability message is part of the philosophy for you guys, rather than just, the accreditations that you have to meet, so that's really, really important, and it's great to hear. And thank you so much, Guy and Phil, for joining me. Absolutely fantastic to speak with you. Thank you to everyone who joined us for the session. Lots of great content still to come at the FuturePrint virtual conference, so don't miss it. Bye for now. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.